Hi, welcome. My name is Sarah Farley. I am the Portfolio Director for our Smart Mobility and Automotive event series here at we.CONECT. Today, I am pleased to say that we'll be having an interview with Doyle Chung, who's Head of Sales from AIMMO, in relation to their presentation and contributions and booth at our 6th Auto.AI Europe event that will be taking place this September 28th to the 30th, 2022, here in Berlin. So first of all, welcome, Doyle. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you? I'm pretty good. I'm super excited to be get invited of this interview and also Auto.AI conference that I'm very honored to be joined as a speaker, as well as joining the booth in that conference. Doyle Chung from AIMMO.
Super. So we're very excited to have you there too. So you're head of sales at AIMMO. Can you tell us a little bit about what your role entails, what your day-to-day work and business looks like?
Sure. I work in an AIMMO as a head of global sales, and which is my majority of the role is expansion of our business in the globally. So we launched at the UK office in the 2021. And we started a business like, by the way, the 2016. And then now we have around 4 different regions in US, in Japan, and Europe. And that's my role. And we spur globalization based on that the autonomous driving and autonomous vehicle technology, and as well as some smart mobility and as well as some smart city solutions that we have.
Hey, that's fantastic. That's a really quick and fast expansion.
Mm-hmm.
So even more exciting to hear what you'll be doing at the Auto.AI within your presentation this year. I know you're going to be focusing on data-centric label ops. So tell us a bit more about this and how this fits into the autonomous vehicle R&D space.
Sure. Most of the I think the AV and AD industry that I think that it's for when they apply for the training data, it's a very model centric. So if you think of the model-centric versus and the data-centric, means when we prepare some of the data for deploy into the ADAS system, means that training data has to be very concisely in the curated, also collected, also aggregated, and somehow that's sorted. So means like it's a very important that how. It's not important how much data is injected on that system, but how much of the high quality data can be injected on your system. So it's quite important that in how model centric and data centric is you can choose for your improvement or your ADAS system. But we think that is data centric is as keywords that we can actually contribute of the people of the AD/AV industry who had whose pain points about the high quality of training data.
Okay, that's fantastic. So quality over quantity. This ties in really nicely to the next question that I have. How does this work in terms of solving the pain points for OEMs and tier ones that they're currently facing in this field at the moment?
Sure. I think every OEMs and tier one in AV and AD industries, and they talk about the ODD, which is it's very important that how level 3 above, it's autonomous driving technology. It's required of there is a very dynamic also in very many kinds of the taxonomy. It has to be defined. Like, for example, there's like a wet, heavy rains and some snowy weather and all different kind of combination with some pedestrians walking the crossroad and with the heavy rains. I mean, they're all different kind of a combination. But how do you collect those data into real life, as well as some of the how do you curate the data and before you just inject your training data to your ADAS system. So we think that's a major pain point of all the AV AD industry, especially for OEMs and tier one. So that's what we offer from the collection and the curation and labeling and inspection. So like a total pre-processed training data for AD and AV industry. That's I think that we resolved the pain points because is each services is outsourced in partially from like big companies, and they do different kind of vendors and the manage and outsource and all the services each by each. But we are like a one-stop solutions that we resolve all the issues as one holistic the solutions that we resolve the pain points as a one just a vendor. That's I think the strong the points that we want to contribute in the other clients.
That's marvelous, and that also kind of ties in and covers part of the answer to the next question, but I will ask it anyway. Tell us a bit more about how AIMMO is uniquely positioned to bring data as a service to the market. You've already touched on some points, but
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We have our 20 peoples in our autonomous driving team. They are actually they came from all the global OEMs and tier one. So it means when we dealing with the issues and problem and pains, I think the people who are in our autonomous driving team and had a domain knowledge, like based on that when they develop in the system and software and all the dealing with the issues. That's a number one, and we do have a domain knowledge with what OEMs and tier ones is ask us to do. So there's a number two. I think for the last 12 months, we've got a lot of challenges and also history that how we can fit up in the requirement of our clients like OEM tier ones, because it's not just one time that they just ask us to do it, but it's more like about the customization and personalization. So it means when we understand the problem and the issues, but we have to digest of those issues, how we can contribute and help them out. So that's what our 20 people from domain knowledge, and they do have a capability to develop a software and the curation tool, and as well as some labeling tools, which include our smart labeling technology. So I think three combined, all the technology could be a game changer of the AV and AD industry.
Super. And then that takes a long time to develop.
Yeah.
So the data as a service and what you offer, what have been the key challenges at your end in terms of developing this service for your clients?
That's a great question. Because it's a lot of, like I mentioned in the beginning of the interview, we have like 100 of different taxonomy, like all the different combinations, like weather, illuminations, all different kind of situational data. We have to collect. So our car belongs to our company with top-notch the sensors in the top of our car. Actually, we have to collect all the different kind of combinations of the taxonomy. So that's kind of one of the challenging part. But we actually sort what's the common ground or the basing model we followed by all the standardization of like SOTIF and ASAM, and that's all the measurement that and we actually followed up. And then that's what we actually that's kind of challenge, but we overcame with those I think the strong power of our team. And second point is we've going through all the POC right now because we're talking to OEMs and tier one right now. But it's a matter of how we can satisfy with that the points what customers want us to do. So it's not just a simple one way and two ways. It's a lot of iterations need to be done. So I think based on that expertise and we are pretty confident that we can meet requirements of the some personalization, customization that the customers want us to do.
Okay. That's amazing. And also to hear that through the challenges that there are opportunities that are also identified through that for your clients, and also the work on the proof of concept. That's super.
Sure.
So yeah, question from my side. What sets data as a service apart from anything else that's on the market so far? There are lots of companies offering data solutions, management, analytics. What makes things different here?
Sure. I think the most of competitors focus on only for data labeling or only for data collection. So means there's like the common issues and frequent asked questions, like when they outsource or when they just only focus on the one area, but data is like a new oil of the fourth revolution, right? So means when you change the type of the format, like of the data, that it's a vendors coming back and forth and all the different vendors and different services. So how do you manage those consistent format and also the managing of the quality of the data? So that's kind of the number one issues. But we actually managing pretty much like from A to Z, and from the requirement and conditions and everything is from OEMs and tier one ask us to do. So we managing all the same format and like all the consistent format that we actually maintain of the quality of the data. That's the kind of number one. And the number two is DAS has a very a distinction of the service that entire over life cycle of the data requirement of the consideration of the customer's ODD means it's not just only part of the service, but it's like against the entire life cycle of the autonomous vehicle data, and that we can care about. Means we somehow that we can contribute what's the error, we can tackle of the some edge cases, like any edge cases you guys need to, means that they come back to us, means like automated iterations comes back to the clients. So that's kind of very competitive. I think the in for the positions of compared to our competitors in out there.
So data as a service, the complete data lifecycle for autonomous vehicles and ADAS functionalities.
Sure.
So tell me, can you demonstrate how this works?
Yeah, I think it would be great then if anybody who come to conference and to join our booth, and I think we do have an official showcase of that, but I can verbally explain about how DAS works, right? So when OEMs and tier one actually define of the ODD requirement, of course, it's we normally say area 1 and 2 and 3, but it's pretty much like the measurement and some of the some situations and some taxonomy has to be defined by OEM and tier one already. So it means that when they send us a requirement of all the condition of the all the situational some illuminations and all the different kind of taxonomy data, and then we actually collected those data based on that requirement. And then when we start with the second phase, we actually sort. It's called a data cleansing. So it's a more than like a 60% is data is useless. So it means in some of the partial data, which is like important to be labeled for the that's of phase 3, but the phase 2 is for the data cleansing of the we set some refinements. And then the phase 3 is the kind of labeling, which is what we've done for the business for the long time. And then I think there's a phase 1 and 2 and 3 is a kind of streamlined service that when customers ask us to do. And also phase 4 is some tuning of what the requirements of some changes or some tackling edge cases, those kind of things is phase 4. So that's a kind of a process of what DAS has.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Mm.
It's already been tested in the market. Can you give us some insights about the results from these tests?
Yes, we actually on the way to talking to some major OEMs and tier one right now, because this is what this is not just only for what we can do 100%. So we need to work with as a POC type, and when OEMs and tier one is ask us to do for some based on that scenario base, like ODD means that they have a scenario, and we actually have around 7 or 8 OEMs and tier one right now is talking to. So we already sent a sample data to them. So they are actually reviewing and of what our sample data is. But that shows in how we work and based on that some like a basic model we have. So and then I think for after this conference, and then we start with the POC at a couple of major in the OEMs and tier one right now. With that, it's already planned. And then I think that we hopefully can get a test data. It's for the end of October. Then means that lots of OEMs and tier one can see maybe some anonymizations, but I think that we can release those kind of results, and super excited. Yeah.
Okay, that's really exciting, and that also kind of covers a little bit of the next question. You've said you're already working with 7 to 8 OEMs, and the results are probably going to come through in October.
Sure.
Could you give a bit more in terms of what advantages or what you think will be coming from these tests that will be beneficial for future potential clients, not just the 7 to 8 OEMs that you're currently working with?
Sure. I think major top 3 advantage what the customers would get from DAS, which is we offer. I think the number 1 is for they can improve their machine learning and the AI model. Means they always kind of agonizing what kind of training data is needed to improve their the performance of their model. So it means that what we have is, because it's when you go to hospital, for example, right? The diagnosis is so important, like what kind of pains and what kind of illness you have, right? So we actually have those curations and tool also, as well as some diagnosis tool that and in some of the model that we can compare with what we offer, and then also what they have currently right now. Means that we could just support some tuning opportunity that we improve the performance of the model. That's the number 1. I think number 2 is for the advantage of some of the ODD expansion. So when you think of like OEMs at tier 1, for example, there's a level 3. There's a lot of countries actually governments actually approve in partial is a level 3 autonomy right now. Means when you're faced with a level 3 above, it's a very important that how you tackle with the edge cases, right? So you never imagine like there's dogs and animals in a highway, and how this car can be stopped and avoid and etc. So I think that's kind of things that we already have the cloud, and those edge cases data is we already collected, and some proceeds, some pre-processed data is already ready there. Means that they can just put the keywords there, and then they don't have to worry about some collection, curation, and all the labeling. It's already there. It's like a bank. So I think that's quite important, that how they can fast and apply for their model to improve their results. Yeah, that's I think a couple of strong points that I can explain.
Marvelous. And can you tell us a bit more about AIMMO's roll-up plans for your data as a service?
Sure. I think we're not just only for focusing on the autonomous driving field. We actually working in for smart city and the mobility sector as well. So for example, when we offer those data, it's like a blood of the body, right? So it's a data means that when we apply for different system, so we are about to develop an edge devices. So it means when we send our data to edge devices, those edge devices could be collected from the different like sensors and IoT and some of the like LiDAR sensors of the smart city, not just only limited for the car. So I think that's a kind of process that workflow that we can support of going smoothly and pass to the others. I think that's the number 1, and the number 2 is about I think you probably heard the smart factory. So when you're dealing with a smart factory, I think when customers and manufacturing sites and when they design, also they maybe some of the digital twin problem they have. So I think that's another point that we can support through that DAS services as well.
Okay. There's also, so you're already working in other industries, so looking at smart cities, smart factories, obviously also in the autonomous vehicle space. Mm-hmm. What other industries are you working with or looking to work with?
Sure. I think some of the companies who actually already have AI applications, like for example, we are like very seeking to work with some mobility companies who offers services like transportation, as well as some of the mobility services for the parking, like autonomous valet parking, which is our AVP. And then there's a lot of sectors in city as well as infrastructure services that they call like there's applications that they can connect it with the data, but they offer those services based on the applications for the in the citizen on the city. So those kind of services and we can support, as well as some of the voice recognition. So we already working with lots of telco, and then means that when people kind of speak to the phones or a car, and there's in-cabin voice recognitions, and also there's another big part of the sectors as well.
Fantastic insights, and we're very much looking forward to AIMMO coming to the Auto.AI in September and talking more and in depth about your data as a service. With regards to the event, it's a highly technical conference focusing on AI and how this can be applied in the development of autonomous vehicles. What are your expectations from the conference, and which technical challenges or questions do you have that are burning inside of you that you really hope that you can address during the conference?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think our expectations for Auto.AI in Europe, I think we're very more than happy to listen what the customers think of our the technology and some of the trend that they are applied to. So I think the trend of the AV and AD industry is quite fast, and then their trending is changing by time, and then I think that's kind of a lot of great insights from the OEM and tier one. What kind of customization, the options, the personalization of the services needed. So I think I'm very much looking forward to listening, talking to the prospects and customers. And then I think for the technical challenges, your second question is, I think technology trends always had a gap between those customers' needs, right? So technology is moving fast and then go further, but the customers in the OEMs and tier one industry standpoint, it could be like there's some breach, and then or some of the things is in the wall between the two needs. I think when we have talking to some of the sessions and the conference I think I'm very much looking forward to listening, also getting some insights and obtaining in some of the latest technology trend in Auto.AI in this conference.
Marvelous. That's fantastic. So with this, we're going to conclude the interview. Thank you so much. Again, Doyle Chung, Head of Global Sales at AIMMO, joining us with a presentation, also with a booth at the Auto.AI Europe in September. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to those who are also listening to the interview today, and wish you a great end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting us. Thank you.